So, you've engaged in lots of teaching activities and done some independent learning, but how do you know how well you're doing? How do we know if you've learned anything? Well, assessment still plays a big role at university, and you'll have assessment of some sort for each module that you do. Even in the first year, when your marks don't count towards your final degree, it's still really important to engage with the assignments or the tests that you set, whether they're formal or informal, because they help you to gauge your own understanding, see where you might need to develop further, and they're also a great way to become familiar with the kinds of assessments that you'll be doing throughout your degree. There's informal assessment opportunities throughout the semester, which are a really good chance to practice and get feedback, and formal summative assessment later on, which will show you how you're doing overall in that module. At university, it's not going to be possible to show your lecturer multiple drafts of a piece of work before you submit it, or have lots of goes at coursework or exams to improve your mark. So every opportunity to get some practice and feedback will be really valuable. There's lots of ways to show how much you've learned at university. There'll be exams and tests, which will mostly be online this academic year, and these might be multiple choice, short answer questions, or essays. There's even more variation in coursework assessment. There's the usual traditional essays, but depending on your subject, you might also get scientific experiment write-ups, case studies, consultancy reports, and group projects. There's also literature reviews and dissertations, presentations and posters, practicals and lab books. There's also possibly less traditional assignment types too, so more like the kind of thing that you'd be doing out in the world of work. It could be, for example, communicating with non-academic audiences, or you might be doing reflective writing where you discuss your progress as a learner. Even for the more traditional types, which might look familiar from school, assessments are often longer and more in-depth with more carefully constructed arguments and evidence, so they'll take longer to do, and organisation and planning is going to be key. Some assignments will be done under shorter time constraints, others you might have most of the semester to do, and dissertations and research projects later on in your degree will be ongoing. It's really worth having a look at the marking criteria for your course and module to get a good understanding of what the markers are looking for in your work and how they're going to be assessing it. You'll often get your marks back as a percentage, but it's worth bearing in mind that not all subjects mark out of the full 100%. So don't be discouraged if you don't get full marks. In arts and humanities, for example, it's quite rare to get over 70%. That's still a first-class mark though, and really good, something to be proud of. Whatever mark you get, if you want to improve your marks for next time, it's well worth paying attention to your feedback. Feedback might be individual comments written throughout your assignment or as a summary at the end, which not only tell you what was good and not so good about that piece of work, but also what you can focus on in general for the future. Look out for other feedback opportunities too. For example, a lecturer might give feedback to the whole group, summarising the main points, and you can reflect on which of those apply to you and perhaps benchmark a bit how you're doing compared to others in your group. There might even be opportunities for feedback from other students, peer feedback. Given that learning at university is much more independent, feedback is a really important way to ensure that you're on track and keep improving.